Hi guys, welcome to another video, and in today's video we are going to be talking the part 2 about the hospital space. Now you might have already seen part 1 is up. I believe we've also done a couple of separate videos for certain companies that has done exceptionally well, such as Yatharth and Gina Seco. Those are the companies that I have covered separately. Then the third video we have done is comparing like 4 to 5 hospital, these regional hospital that are there, such as Jupiter, GPT, Global Health, Vedanta. We did that in one video. In today's video, we will do a combination of all the mid as well as the large cap, hospitals that are there, and we will see where does it stand. Because if you look at the hospital race, if I exclude Gina, because Gina Seco is more like an Ayurvedic hospital, and also when you talk about the business model and the unit economics, it makes no sense to compare it with the other allopathy hospitals that are there, right? So if I exclude Gina from the hospital space, we know that the winner or the leader in this entire hospital ka race is Yatharth. Now we need to see if Yatharth ka, there is any competitors in this category or not. So we will be covering Rainbow Children's Medicare, Max, Apollo, Narayana Hridayalaya, Aster DM Healthcare, right? These are the few. Asarfi is also there, we will also cover that. These are the few hospitals that we will be covering, okay? And before I go and start the video, as you guys know, we are coming up with a live workshop on 24th of August. And if you guys want to register for the workshop, the link is in the description below. We will be talking about our portfolio, how we do the allocation, what has been the changes of the portfolio compared to Q4, and why did we do those changes, and what are the opportunities that lies after the Q1 FY26 result season. We will be discussing about all of that, okay? So now let's talk about first thing first, Rainbow Children's Medicare. As you know, when you compare Rainbow Children's Medicare with other hospital, although it is an allopathy based medicine hospital, a very key or a special factor, if you see, is Rainbow caters purely and purely only to children's, right? Like children's and expecting mothers. The other factor over here that makes actually Rainbow quite unique when you compare it to the other hospital is Rainbow is the only one hospital jiska 100% of the revenue is a split between cash and insurance. Like when you look at other hospitals, unka payer mix agar aap dekhte ho, there is a certain portion coming from corporate TPAs or certain government empanelments, right? But Rainbow is the only and only hospital that you'll come across a listed space jiska 50-50 split hai between cash and insurance. In fact, if you'll also see that ARPOB iska is very high compared to the other hospital, is also because of the same thing, cash and insurance. Because cash may you can take the price hike readily, versus with insurance, it depends on the agreement. Once in a year or 2 years, you can revise your agreement for a price hike, right? So that's the case. अगर आप यहाँ पे देखते हो, you will remember that the management had guided for this 18 to 20% kind of growth after they had the really terrible, like a horrible season, especially in the year 23 and 24 subsequently. And if you see right now, you will see that the sales is up by 7% and PAT is up by 35%. Here is the thing, one thing you should always remember when you are looking at the hospital space is Q1 is a bit of a lean quarter, okay? Because Q1 में क्या होते हैं, April में June होता है, especially with Rainbow it is even more lean compared to the other quarters. That is because in the month of Q1 we have April, in the quarter of Q1, in Q1 we have April and May, right? And April and May, if you remember, it is a summer season, and a lot of school kids have vacations. Especially throughout India, we have summer vacations in the month of April and May itself. So इसके वजह से क्या होते हैं, all of these kids that are there, right, or at least most of the kids, especially those who stay in Tier 1 cities, they go to their villages, right? And if you look at Rainbow ka, where do you see the most prominence is in Hyderabad and Bangalore, and this is a sort of a metropolitan city, right, where people come from the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities and they stay, right? And when and kids go back over there, so this inpatient या आपका pediatric visit होता है, right? All of these visits that are there, the consultations and everything, that drops by a significant amount, okay? So that is why you cannot really consider Q1 as a benchmark, or you can't look at Q1 ka result and tell ki like oh, if they guided for a certain percentage throughout the year, they're falling behind in the race. You can't tell that, right? I understand यहाँ पे sales is only up by 37%, and if you look at the other metrics that is there, that is occupancy is down by 5%. If you look at RPOB is up by around 13%, right? So you might feel like array, all the entire growth that is there, it has come from RPOB, occupancy is down, uska shayad ye jo 18% ka guidance diya hai, it will not be achieved. But that is not the case. It can slowly pick up across the quarters as we move throughout the year, okay? Now यहाँ पे if you also look at it, you will see that occupancy is down by 5%, volume growth is down down, which means more, less number of people probably walked in, and the beds were not as efficiently utilized as it was last year. And if you look at it, the sales is up by 7%, occupancy is down by 5%, and ARPOB is 13%. You might feel ye jo the entire sales that is there, it has come from ARPOB, which is true, it has come from ARPOB, but it has not come from price hike. It has not come from by increasing the price, but it has come by better mix, or case, in terms of like better higher case or higher cost surgeries that are there. Because like I told you, in this summer ka month kya होता है, आपको जो consultations है, pediatric visit है, deliveries that are there, it falls, and all this आपका tertiary care, quaternary care, that goes up, okay, जिसका cost is little bit higher, margins are higher. As a result, ARPOB में how do I tell? ARPOB looks good. ARPOB is up by 13%, but you will see that the occupancy that is there, it is down by 5% for the same reason. I wouldn't say it is the best of the lot, obviously, but it is okay. It is a decent company which is doing quite good, decent for what they are promising. And उसके बाद अगर आप उनका capex का plan करें, as you know, they have currently 2,000 beds, and in the next 3 years, that is by FY20, that in the year FY27-28, by that time, by FY28, they want to reach up to 2,865, roughly around 40% increase, 40 to 45% increase in bed capacity is what they're targeting. Is saal they're targeting to put up how much, roughly around 250 beds they're targeting to add, okay. And out of that, unka jo Rajamundi, which is I believe in that Andhra Pradesh Telangana region there, and in Hennur and Electronic City in Bangalore, they're coming up. Both all of these capacities are going according to the plan, and it should be done. And jo last year the capacities that they put up, right, one in Sarjapura and the other one in Chennai, in Anna Nagar in Chennai. The Sarjapura hospital in Bangalore is already at a break even level, and Sarjapura one should also, sorry, Chennai one also should break even in like a couple of I think in a matter of 6 months. So again, Rainbow in general, if I have to tell you, decent set of numbers, nothing great, but also at the same time nothing to be sad about either. It's good, it's decent, I would say. The company is executing what they're telling, no complaints on that. Then we have Aster DM Healthcare. As you know, Aster DM Healthcare is a hospital which is mostly focused in the southern part of India, the Karnataka region, Kerala region, like that, and so forth, right? Yahan pe, if you remember, these people also had their operations in the Gulf countries, and they sold that part of the operations. I think a year ago they sold it off, and now they're focused only in India. Uske baad unhone kya kiya? There is this company called as Quality Care, okay? Unke saath tie up kiya, unke saath merger kiya for a 5% stake in Quality Care. Aster took a 5% stake, and Quality Care in return also took around, I think, 3.8% stake in Aster. Like, they had certain kind of share swap happening, okay. Iske wajah se now if you look at it, the entire network of Quality Care has been merged into Aster, jiske wajah se inka yahan pe capacity jo hai wo बढ़ gaya. Now if you have to talk about Aster, Aster is also, like, I would say, again, right, if I have to like put the companies in a space, there are these best of the lot such as Yatharth and Max. In the mid, we have Global Health and Jupiter, and in the third category, I would place something like Narayana, GPT, and Aster. Aster comes literally in the bottom of the mark. Nothing again to be excited about this company. Sales is up by 8%, profitability is up by 22%. If you talk about occupancy not much, right, because these people do not give the occupancy ka data because they're adding beds. As a result, the occupancy would not be a right metric. Same case as Gina over here. But agar मैं देखूं ना, the capacity is not that great, because if I talk about it right now, they have around 5,000 beds, and they plan to take from 5,000 to 7,800 in a span of 3 years. That's like a roughly 15% CAGR. Now another problem over here with Aster is these people are doing most of it is greenfield capacity. आप ये greenfield कर रहे हो, उसके बाद उसको शायद 3 साल लगेगा और break even करने में, ठीक है. And again, like I told you, right, I mean, it is good, they're doing everything right, but unfortunately over here, if you look at it, since we have other hospitals jiska 3 saal ka if you look at the expansion that is there, it comes up to be 30%, literally twice the rate of what Aster is doing. So although they are doing what is in their capability, it is just not good enough in the race when you compare it with other players. That's it. That is the only problem with Aster ka, that is there. Also, the other reason over here, if you see that the Aster ka is doing really well, is because they discontinued that 8% kind of growth also you see in revenue, is because of a couple of things. In Karnataka, Karnataka and Maharashtra, a lot of the state level schemes that are there, they have discontinued, taking patients in that scheme. Kerala cluster, unka jo Kerala mein, there are a couple of hospitals there, which that hospital was not doing well. It was degrowing, in fact, in terms of sale. Now it has posted positive set of numbers, and this has happened because they have changed the entire management structure has been changed over here, which is yielding them a positive result. Overall decent, like I told you, okay set of numbers. It just makes, this is like the, the last player in the race, this and GPT healthcare, right? So it makes no sense, to like, यहाँ पे इसका, और नीचे नीचे जाके इसको खोद के देखना, right? Ultimately these are the last few players that are there, in the race. Okay, then we have Asarfi hospitals, very interesting, as you know. By the way, guys, if you guys want to understand the business model of all these, head over to my YouTube channel. YouTube का business analysis बोल के एक playlist है. You will find in-depth analysis of all these hospitals that are there. Now with Asarfi, I'm actually very surprised they gave the result, because ये छोटा cap है, they usually give result, in H1 and H2. So really very surprised. As you know, Asarfi has two hospitals, one in Dhanbad, right, and the other one in Ranganj, right? Ranganji, Ranguni, I think that's how you pronounce it. Now, the first hospital is a 250-bed hospital. It is a very old hospital. And the second hospital is a newly constructed hospital, which got constructed in the year 2024, just in the last year. And the speciality of this hospital is it is a cancer hospital. And in that vicinity of that area, there is no other cancer hospital. As you know, right, nowadays, when you have people from T2 and Tier 3 cities, they can go to, like, they can get a basic treatment, but if they have to get specialized treatment, they have to come to Tier 1 cities. Then imagine the case with like Tier 4, Tier 5, and that is a problem in case second hospital is trying to cater to. Now because of the second hospital only, why we are seeing growth, right? Because it is a new hospital that got, commissioned, and on top of that, since it is a very specialized treatment, you're only going to treat oncology, and oncology is the most lucrative for, any hospitals, right? Because oncology में क्या है, आपका ARPOB is higher, आपका margins is higher. Actually feel very bad talking about it, because I mean, if these hospital has to do well, somebody has to fall sick, and I think that's like such a terrible thing, to like even hope for, right? But yeah, so this hospital that is there, it got operationalized in the last year with 50 bed, and then aage jaake they had a plan कि like in a couple of years they would increase this 50 bed to 150 beds. Okay, but यहाँ पे एक लोचा हुआ था. First thing is they told कि like in a span of a year of this hospital being operationalized, it will reach a 75% occupancy, which didn't happen, because if you look at it, the occupancy that is there, it is still at a 47%. If you talk about, yeah, it is still at 47%, the cancer hospital, not that 75 even as of today. Okay, the second thing is there is no clear cut laid out plan as like when this, this 65, like right now they have 65 beds, out of this they have to make it into 150 beds. That was the initial plan, and they told they will do it in a year or two maximum. But now we do not know like whether it will take 2 years or 3 years. The third thing over here is with respect to the expansion plans, because right now this growth rate is coming because of this cancer hospital. But if they don't increase the bed capacity, then again the growth rate will go back to what it was earlier. That is one thing. इसके बाद इन दोनों हॉस्पिटल के अलावा उनका और कोई हॉस्पिटल नहीं है after which they can run after, again the stalling effect can come after these two hospitals. Already the first hospital is at maximum occupancy, the second hospital also will reach within a year or two, and then after that again the growth will stall. So that is why I believe, although this, if you look at this company, they have posted really good set of numbers. Sales is up by 56%, PAT is doubled. Even if you remove the other income portion, right, because other income has also doubled over here, even if you remove the other income part also, you will still they get their operating leverage. But in fact, in spite of this, all of these things that are there, they still, it is just, like I told you, unlike the other hospitals that are there, the growth seems sustainable here. After this cancer hospital gets commissioned fully, then there is no runway that is there, because इसके बाद इसके पास funds में नहीं है growth, put up a hospital. They don't even have any plan. Forget about plan, they don't have any ambition either. The other negative point for me with Asarfi over here is, the guidance that is there. Earlier they had told, that they would want to achieve that 200 crore ka revenue mark, kind of like, or they had given this huge thing in their PPT, improve their ROE and all of that factor. They were supposed to do it by FY26 ka end, but now they have pushed it to FY27 ka end, right? So the amount of time that will take, for them them to reach that guidance ka level, it is increased, right? So which is also a negative factor for the shareholder. So these are the problems with that I feel with Asarfi, right? Although the numbers are great, somehow, like, there is no runway for growth there. There is an end at the end of the day, that can come with these numbers, right? So that is a problem. So that is why, if I have to put, like, there are three layers in the hospital race. The first layer, we already know, we have players like Yatharth and Gina. The third layer, we have players such as GPT, and we have what is that, Aster DM Healthcare. In the second layer, we have companies like Jupiter, Global Health, Medanta, Rainbow Medicare. We can add Asarfi also in the similar layer, because it's not as terrible as the third player, but also at the same time, it's not as good as the first three players such as Yatharth, Gene or Max. Jiska visibility, not only are they doing well right now, but the visibility for growth, or the runway for growth, even after a year or two, looks quite solid, right? So that's the thing. Then we have the last couple of companies, that is Max Healthcare, Narayana Hridayalaya, and Apollo. I would also put Apollo in the second category, because Apollo, as you can tell, even that is like a 1 lakh crore ka market cap. In spite of that, them being able to grow, because you are such a big base, उस base में आप 15% का growth कर रहे हो, that is not a joke, absolutely not a joke, right? Only problem is, the reason I would never put Apollo in my portfolio is because, although the reason is because, the base is so big, it becomes very difficult for you to, like, at the end of the day, the base has to double for a shareholder to make money. So it becomes very difficult. आप 1 लाख करोड़ मार्केट कैप को 2 लाख करोड़ मार्केट कैप कर रहे हो. And as you can see, right, like, उनका भी प्रॉब्लम क्या हो चुका है. They have so many hospitals right now, like, it becomes very difficult to double that hospital's base. So that is why what they're doing, right, they're doing opening this clinic. By the way, I must say, right, one thing that I can see a change in trend, which I would say, really really hats off to Apollo. They're actually a pioneer over here. As you can see, right, the entire shift in the hospital space is happening from an unorganized to an organized space. Apollo is trying to, we had this unorganized to organized space happen in the hospital space around, like 7 to 10 years back. Now Apollo is trying to do the same thing with clinics. As you know, if you go to your area, like, abhi Apollo ka problem kya ho rahi, they can't put up a hospital because, see, first of all, hospital works really well in a tier 1 and tier 2 city. Now tier 1 and tier 2 city mein aapka land nahi hai. Tier 3 cities mein jab you can put up a hospital, but you can't do overly specialized treatment, और जितना आपका speciality है उतना आपका margins बढ़ेगा. That is a problem of putting a hospital in tier 3, 4, 5, 6 cities. It becomes very hard, but instead you can work in a hub and spoke model. But what they're doing right now is, एक एक गली गली में जाके, they're giving franchise for this Apollo clinic. Okay, so everywhere in a gully, you'll find this Apollo clinic, where this Apollo dental, Apollo diabetes ka, ophthalmologist, gynecologist, and everything. Because think about it, right? If somebody has a problem, they have an issue with their some gynecology problem or something, who would want to go to a hospital, appointment le lo karo? But if there is a clinic nearby, it is good, right? And you get an accessibility. यहाँ पे उनका cross selling भी हो रहा है. If they see that the problem is getting severe, they can again redirect it to Apollo का उनका जो बड़ा hospital है. So this way cross selling भी हो रहा है. And the other thing what is happening is, एक जो चीज हो रहा है is because clinic, if you look at it, it is a very unorganized business ना. मतलब एक गली में तो 10-15 clinic तो होता ही है, but ultimately there is no brand power, there is no trust, nothing. But imagine एक Apollo का clinic में एक Apollo का logo है, right? How much? And I'm telling you this because I have had a personal experience, like over here with Apollo near my house. In fact, I just visited like a couple of days back. Like I told you, right, I've been having this terrible migraines, had to get some blood tests done and everything. And the only thing I did was I just checked, like if there's a doctor nearby, and then I just saw like, oh, Apollo is there, and I just rushed, and the process is like so superb. Like you go, get your consultation. It's exactly like how you do it in hospitals. Get the consultation, get your blood test done and everything. It's like super clean, super efficient, like imagine like a mini hospital. And I can literally see that change in trend, because people are also preferring that, right? एक trust आता है, एक organized way में चलता है. Just like how we had in jewelry, right? Unorganized से organized है, ये clinics में भी यही हो रहा है अभी, I think. But unfortunately, this if this works out for Apollo ना, if there is some sort of product mix changing happening over here, it would be a huge deal. But unfortunately, this अपोलो का क्लिनिक्स जो है इट इज स्टिल एट अ बेबी स्टेज or a nascent stage right now, and it is still a loss making venture for them, so it will take time for it to be reflected. And at this base, and the contribution of Apollo clinics, Apollo pharmacy, Apollo diagnostic to the base that is there, it is very very good for nothing, you can tell. अभी भी उनका ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा revenue आता है from the hospital. That is what is keeping the cash flows also afloat to a certain extent. So that is the thing. If this if there is some sort of like if it happens on a bigger scale, and if there is a product mix change happening for a good over here, then that would be really a game changer for Apollo, I would say. Then the last two companies that we have is Narayana Hrudayalaya and Max. Narayana Hrudayalaya, there is nothing to tell. It is the same old story. Nothing is going to improve over here. We have to wait for, I think, that Calcutta and Bangalore ka hospital that will probably be opened in FY27 or FY28. Until and unless, no hope. Still the same thing. I will not waste my time. I mean, see, if the things have not improved for the last 3 quarters, it is still where it is. I don't want to waste my time talking about it. Okay, so I would put Narayana Hrudaya also on in the third category, similarly to how GPT and that the other one that is doing the Aster DM healthcare. Then we have also one of the reason is when you look at their bed expansion, right? Unka bhi 5,755 beds hai. In a span of like 5 years, they want to take it up to 7,600 to 800. That's like a 5 to 7% CAGR. Now I hope you understand why am I putting it in the third category. Then we have Max, which is literally the best hospital, the leader of the space, right? Like literally like a beast over here in the hospital space. If you look at it, iska jo revenue hai, it is the highest in the hospital space compared to everybody. Sales is up by 27%. PAT jo hai, PAT grew by 17%. The reason they didn't get operating leverage is because, as you know, Max is putting up a lot of capacities, and that is why operating leverage has been a miss. But still, abhi bhi you can see that PAT is up by 17%. EBITDA जो उनका margins है, it is around 24.9 versus 25.8. This is a very surprising thing because इतना hospital डालने के बाद भी to maintain that EBITDA. Another reason that PAT at least थोड़ा सा visible है 17% का is because जो भी hospital last year को operationalize हुआ था, they are at least getting they are becoming break even level. At the same time अभी भी एक नया hospital open हो रहा है, so that is adding that is dragging those are still in losses. So ultimately उसके वजह से that operating leverage is not there, it is not visible. At the same time वो इतना भी बुरा भी नहीं है कि like पूरा का पूरा पैट गायब हो जाए, because जो already the hospitals that are that are coming up live हो रहे हैं, they're getting उसका break even हो रहा है at least in a year or two. It's becoming very quickly. So that is the reason it's neither as bad nor as good, the bottom line over here, you can tell. Now अगर हम इसका updates के बारे में करते हैं, the occupancy is good, occupancy is stable at at 75%. Even if you talk about RPOB is great, the highest ever RPOB at 70K. RPOB didn't improve that much, it improved only by 1%. Okay, now when you talk about their expansion, again you might feel like Yatharth didn't grow as fast as Max, but you can't really compare Yatharth ka number with Max ka number in this quarter. As you know, Yatharth did not have any capacities in this year. They only had one hospital, and that hospital has done fantastically well. The Faridabad hospital, jiska occupancy went from 10 to 50%, 50 in a span of 1 year. Okay, so you can't really compare Yatharth and Max. The right comparison would be in the Q2 ka quarter, when Yatharth ka do hospital will get operationalized. That would be a better metric with Max, not Q1 over Q1. Okay, so Yatharth ka 22% and Max ka 27%. I mean, what I mean to tell is Yatharth ka 22% is greater than actually Max ka 27% in this quarter. Why and why? Because Max is having all the capacities versus Yatharth ka sirf ek hi hospital mein wo jo number aaya. That is the reason. Okay, but other than that, if you see unka Max ka also, if you see, it will be a very interesting race. Where not in Q1, Q2. You tell me why. Q2 is the best quarter for hospital space. Rainy season hota hai na, and इस बार तो धमाका का rain हो चुका है. Like excellent rains that we've had. And rains में क्या होता है, आपका सारे diseases, सारे infection, dengue, malaria सब कुछ आता है, because of which people get admitted. So as a result, Q2 में walk-ins that is there increases, right, because of seasonal flus. Along with walk-ins, what happens, ये जो seasonal related illness है, उसके वजह से admits भी ज़्यादा होता है. This is one of the reasons Q2 gets interesting. The other reason why Q2 becomes interesting for Max and Yatharth is Yatharth का 2 hospital will go live, Delhi and Faridabad, in July and August respectively. And for Max क्या होने वाला है, Max का I think almost 3 hospitals live होने वाले हैं. वन इज मोहाली का हॉस्पिटल, 150 बेड का एक ब्राउनफील्ड है उनका, which is going through a trial period in the month of August. So I think it should be operationalized at least. And then they have two more hospital, which is Max Smart and Max Vikrant, which is 400 and a 500 bedded hospital respectively, which according to the plan, if I remember, it should be operationalized by the end of Q2 FY26. Now hopefully it does, hopefully there is no delay over here, and this is going to be a phase wise opening. Obviously सारा 400 सारा 500 एक ही टाइम में ओपन नहीं हो सकता. That is the thing, we'll have to wait and watch कि like इसमें hopefully there is no delay यहाँ पे with the entire thing, because that is the only worry. If that happens, then the Q2 ka race becomes very interesting, because then Max will have 2 to 3 capacities, Yatharth will have 2 capacities, then it would be टक्कर का competition, because एक का 1 लाख करोड़ market cap है, एक का शायद 10,000 करोड़ का भी market cap नहीं है. So this would be very very interesting, because until now the competition is just between Yatharth Max, right? That's how it has been. एक quarter इसको operating leverage नहीं मिलता, एक quarter इसको operating leverage नहीं मिलता. So that would be very interesting to see like if Yatharth is able to beat Max in the upcoming quarter with operating leverage, there is no stop for the PE rating that will come for Yatharth, right? Max is the only enemy. If they can defeat Max, if they can kick Max's ass in quarter 2, then done. It is a sealed deal for them. That is the only thing. So hopefully they do. Hopefully they do. And hopefully Max doesn't do more than Yatharth. That is what I can also hope for. But yeah, let's see what Max does, because Max is not like a competition that that you like you can just put it in the sideline like अरे ये कुछ भी नहीं करेगा, ये बकवास है. That is not the case, because this is the only hospital जिसका capacity expansion is like crazy, like absolutely crazy. Because if I remember it right, these people are also like targeting इसका bed expansion is almost around 30% का केगार. And ये जो करता है ना, मतलब इसका efficiency is just that guy, that Abhinav guy. What a brilliant, ये भी आचार्य मनीष के तरह ही है. What a brilliant in terms of execution. I've seen him for the last 2 to 3 years. Excellent. वो बोलता है जो बोलते है करता है. And one thing I will respect about Max, I'll tell you, this is the only hospital जो सारा चीज करता है. भाई greenfield, brownfield, lease करो, कुछ भी करो. I will do, what they tell, by hell or by, what you tell, by hook or crook, I will get an hospital, I will make it operationalized. That is Abhinav soy for you. So this guy is like that. भाई मुझे greenfield करना है, brownfield करना है, lease करना है, कुछ भी करके capacity बढ़ना है, and मैं कर लूँगा. And one thing I'll tell you, whenever you talk about a greenfield, right, you understand it takes for some hospital even 5 years to break even. If the management is good, then that break even will happen in 2 to 3 years. Max ko hospital, even greenfield hospital, sometimes just gets break even in a year, which is really really exceptional. Because brownfield hospital usually, because everything is already there, you don't have to do a lot of investments and everything, right? थोड़ा है, सब कुछ है, वरना आप acquisition कर लो, कुछ empanelment करना नहीं पड़ता, almost everything is there, सिर्फ अपना name, management और अपना process डालना है वहाँ पे. So there, breaking even becomes easier, right? But in greenfield ना, since आप सब scratch से कर रहे हो ना, एक एक चीज, मतलब अपना foundation भी खुद लगा रहे हो, it takes a lot of time. The fact, there, they've been able to crack that race. That is why I have a lot of respect for Max. Absolutely a lot of respect, for what Max does, and the entire management of Max. Only thing is इसका वही हालत है कि like इसका बेस बड़ा है. 1 लाख करोड़ मार्केट कैप का बेस को 2 लाख करोड़ करने में बहुत टाइम लगेगा. एट द सेम टाइम यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, इसका इतना केपिक्स कर रहे हैं, एट द एंड ऑफ द डे दैट ईपीएस इज बिकमिंग अ हिट, राइट? ईपीएस हमेशा मार्क खाता है. ईपीएस नहीं ग्रो करेगा तो वैल्यूएशन कंटिन्यूज टू बिकम, राइट? बिकॉज सी पीई इज नथिंग बट अल्टीमेटली आपका क्या, ईपीएस इज द डिनोमिनेटर ना. सो जितना ईपीएस बढ़ेगा वहां पे उतना पीई कम हो जाएगा. यहाँ पे ईपीएस ही नहीं बढ़ता तो वहां पे पीई भी फुल के बैठता है. सो इट बिकम्स अगेन डिफिकल्ट टू गेट दैट पीई रेटिंग वहां पे. सो दैट इज अ प्रॉब्लम विद मैक्स, राइट? दैट इज द ओनली थिंग. सो इफ यू बीन इन दैट कोविड का टाइम and you played the entire hospital cycle, आपने ये max wax सब खेला, lot of very good. Again, Max is a good hospital. It's just that doesn't become lucrative. Just the kind of numbers and everything that is there is just not lucrative. But ultimately iska competition is Yatharth and Yatharth ka competition is Max. It has to beat Max at any cost, वरना Yatharth का PE rating नहीं होगा. Max is the only Goda that is coming first every single time. That is that one Goda you cannot take lightly. You do not know what tricks they'll pull up from their book, and the next thing it is reaching number 1 in the position. So if Yatharth has to get that PE rating, oh shit, what was that? if Yatharth has to get P re-rating, it has to beat Max at all cost, and that is what the entire, the game has been for the last 1 year, right? And you will always see that the quarter, there was that one quarter, right, where Yatharth went from 350 to 650. You will always see Yatharth bet Max with operating leverage. So if Yatharth can do that for the upcoming 3 quarters, you just need 3 quarters with Yatharth by like 3 uninterrupted quarters, beat Max, get operating leverage, and the most important thing, please, कोई भी वो आईटी वाईटी का बकवास नहीं चाहिए, just nothing, just 3 clean quarters with no outside issues, no external interference, and just do your work, beat Max, get operating leverage, stock a P rating, tuck 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 हो जाएगा. What happened with PGL, what happened with Sky Gold, right? Within 3 quarters यथार्थ का वही हालत होगा. Just that, like, again, just that needs to happen. That is the only thing I will pray for. Anyways, that's that, guys. Take care and good night. I think I'll upload this video tomorrow because it's already 10:50. So yeah, I think I'll upload this video tomorrow morning, first thing first. Anyways, guys, take care. Bye.